Hi, I'm Jen Morris, and you're listening to Bright New Voices, the Balboa Press Hour. Today I'm speaking with Keith Robinson, author named E423, about his new book, Sex Magic, Our Path to Liberation in a Wounded Society. How are you today?
I'm wonderful, thank you, Jen.
In the first paragraph of your book, you say that you have not met a single person who is free from sexual wounding. What exactly do you mean by sexual wounding? Are we only talking about molestation or rape, or is it something greater than that?
I understand you're asking a very perceptive question here, because at first glance people would indeed think about such extremes as molestation and rape as examples of sexual wounding. However, when we go deeper into it, we realise that even in people's fairly ordinary mundane lives they get exposed to all kinds of sexual wounding. So a really obvious example is when a girl starts to grow breasts, she's going to be subjected to a lot of criticism, judgment, ridicule, and indeed teenagers experience all sorts of pressures either to be sexual or not to be sexual, and it seems they get judged for whatever they do. So every adult's been through the experience of being a teen, so this is also part of the picture. Another part of the picture, which I go into at length in the book, is internet pornography, and this has actually produced a huge amount of sexual wounding and has caused a lot of people to act in what I would call a very narrow, stereotypical way with regard to their sexuality, because it's been such a strong imprint. And then also I'd mention the role that advertising plays, where sex is still used to sell products. So I feel that in the bigger picture, sexual wounding is the norm. And then the last thing to mention is some people, by their very religious beliefs, find themselves in a situation where they are subject to a lot of prohibitions with regard to their sexual nature. And a whole raft of other emotions. You're quite correct, yes.
What have we lost through the choices that you think have been self-imposed on us in whichever culture we grew up in?
That's a good question, and what I see is I see three things really. The first one is really obvious, which is innocence. The second one is spontaneity, and the third one is playfulness. And I would argue that these qualities, when we bring this to our lovemaking, in our sexual union with our partner, is what produces the magic. And this is what is sadly lacking in many cases.
Are we just talking about sex, or are we talking about cultivating love?
I'm glad you brought this up, because it's a strange thing. In the Western world, we've created this separation between the two states. And if you find that you go to the East, there is really no conception or understanding of why these things should be separated. When we're talking about a sexual connection with a partner, it's always about the love, and the sex is the mode of expression of that love. And again, the pornography industry has got a big role to play in this separation.
How were you sexually initiated, and what came as a result of that?
My sexual initiation was through meeting Maya, who I met at a festival. And first of all, we fell in love, we formed a relationship, and we were sexually active, just like everyone. However, what happened, and this is a gradual process. First of all, we spent a good deal of time getting to know each other sexually, and when Maya deemed it was right, she then began my initiation, which was to take me right underneath all that goes on in a sexual relationship, and to understand the deeper aspects of the experience, which certainly includes a lot of exploration. We did a lot of exploration which included exploring the sexual wounding. However, what was so remarkable about this experience is that we very quickly moved to the place where we started to act in such a way that we realised that we were tapping into what is the fundamental source of human power. And this is what the book's all about. Power is a word that frightens some people, and that's indicative of the way things have gone in society. So what I learned in my sexual initiation was actually to reclaim my innocence, my spontaneity, and my playfulness. And through so doing, I got into a complete harmonious connection with my sexual power. And then when I met her in our sexual union, it was then possible for us actually to take our individual personal experience and to harness the energy that all couples are capable of creating in that situation, and to direct it to a specific goal.
It's interesting that you mentioned mention innocence and power in the same phrase along with sexuality. I feel like that's counterintuitive for most people to feel like those things are words and descriptions that can go together to describe you as one.
Exactly, this is the key. This is something that people really don't understand about innocence. This is our true source of power. And this is why I feel that the attempt in certain sections of the society to render sex as a profane act is the simplest way to disempower people. So it's when we reclaim our innocence, we actually feel our true power as human beings. And then when we get together and we experience that loving connection, that's when anything is possible that we choose to dedicate our intentions towards.
What inspired you to write this book?
A conversation I had with a couple of dear friends in London, and I don't know how the subject came up, but it did, and they started doing some research on the internet, and they discovered that what they were finding was very unhelpful. And I said, well, this is something I have a lot of experience of, and I started to talk. And the more I talked, the more they were listening with rapt attention, and I realised, hey, why is it you never actually put this to paper? I had this extraordinary experience in my life, and that was really what persuaded me it was something to be shared because of their interest.
Now this book is really two books in one. Tell us about the second part of the book, which is called The Guide.
Thank you very much for this question. So when I was writing the book Sex Magic, there was a certain point when I realised that I was taking a lot of things for granted. Something that I've had the opportunity to do in my life is to study diet and nutrition, and also breath work, yoga, body work, so many other practices, and shamanism, of course, perhaps being the most important for me. And what I realised I needed to do is to write a very practical guide that would give people the simple tools. So here's a lovely example. Number one, attitude of gratitude. Once you develop an attitude of gratitude, first of all, for yourself, for your body, for your ability to do what you can do, and if you're in a relationship with a partner, obviously you extend this out to feeling the gratitude you have for the love of that person that is in your life. This is, I would argue, the ultimate aphrodisiac, which is something which is also mentioned in the book.
Now you have a couple of websites. They're so interesting. You have so much information on them. One is Sexmagic.guru and the other one is YouTubeshaman.com. Tell me a little bit about them.
Sure. Well, Sexmagic.guru has been created deliberately to explain about the book and give people the opportunity to link in if they're interested in purchasing it, and to give them ideas about what the book is about. And there's also films as well. And the YouTubeshaman.com is my overall website for all the other work that I do in terms of shamanic practice and hosting retreats, healing, and all the other things that I offer. My intention for the readers is to allow them to understand that I've taken them on a very personal journey. There are things I reveal in this book that I've never revealed in any other way before, and that was a challenging thing to do, but I felt it was important to be very honest and share my own personal experiences. And what I feel is when people share personal experiences, that enables them to connect with you. And through that connection, what I'm inviting them to see is that it's possible to let go of what I would call the programming, if you like, all the negative input which people receive about sex, love and relationships, and to find their truth, to find their inner sense, because that's what the word innocence means, your inner sense. And from that basis, to realise that if you're not in a relationship, this is something you can work with, and everything's in there for the book to show you how to do that. Or if you are in a relationship, to actually focus in what it is that you truly want, you and your partner, and then to harness this primal energy which we all have through the sexual experience to put into effect what it is we truly desire in our lives. So it's a recipe for the person or the people to achieve what they really want, what matters most of all in their lives. That's what I'm intending for them to grasp hold of. The power is theirs through reclaiming their innocence, which is their inner sense.
It's such an important book. Sexuality is something that we all have, and we need to embrace it, and books like this just make it more accessible and less shameful. It's something we need to celebrate.
Thank you very much, and that does bring up the other subject, because when I was doing research before I started to write the book, I did look at a lot of different books, and what I mostly found was two kinds of books. One was a very practical guide, but didn't really talk about the magical side. It was really all about enjoying each other and techniques to enjoy yourselves more, on the one hand. On the other hand were books which were very arcane and very obfuscatory and didn't actually get to the point of practicality. So for me, this is very much a practical how-to book, yes.
Well, thank you so much for your time today, and congratulations on the book and all of your future endeavors.
I thank you very much for your questions, Jen.